This is Andy, and I figured I'd share a few HDR photography tips with you guys today. Let's jump right in and get into the list. Always try to capture something interesting. Yeah, it seems like an obvious tip, but a lot of people seem to miss that point and take photos of just really bland objects and think that the editing will save them. Number two is make sure that the photo has a lot of hard shadows, so things like sunrise and sunset are really great for pulling out the shadows in an image. That's why if you take a photo around noon and the sun is right above you, you probably won't get very good results unless you really know what you're doing and find a great composition. Always use a tripod. That's a very important tip. It's pretty much essential for HDR photography. You're going to want to get a nice sturdy tripod. You can find some ones on Amazon for about $50 to start out with. This Manfrotto right here is probably about $300. You can go up to the $1,000 range, but it really depends on what gear you have. I kind of have a heavier camera, the Canon 6D, so I need a heavy duty tripod. But if you're shooting on like a point and shoot or maybe a mirrorless, you probably won't need as heavy duty a tripod. When you're about to take your photo, always make sure to use a remote or a timer. You can pick up the Canon remote for about $100. I prefer to use the timer method because I hate carrying around extra gear and hooking it up and having to deal with all that. If you set a self timer for 2 seconds, that's a great way of doing this. I usually set up a timer for 2 seconds, so it'll go 1, 2, and take the picture. So then you have no vibrations from you actually hitting the button on the camera, which can lead to extra vibration because when you hit that button it slightly moves the camera. So if you're a perfectionist, make sure to follow that. Another small thing that can cause vibration is the actual movement of the shutter in the camera, moving up and down. If you have a mirrorless SLR, you won't need to worry about this, but if you have a full-blown SLR, you're going to want to change the options on your camera. On a Nikon, you can actually select an option for it to delay when the mirror goes up. You might need to get your manual out. I don't have a Nikon, so I don't know exactly where it is. But yeah, it'll basically lift the mirror up, wait a second or however long you pick, and then take the picture on the sensor. I found on Canons, if you actually use live view to take your photos, it'll actually act as that, so you're not actually moving the mirror when you're capturing the image. And a few editing tips for you would be, don't overdo the effect. I can't tell you how many photos I see that are just, it really just gives a bad name to HDR. It just looks like plastic wrap over the photo. Here are a few examples. There's a whole subreddit dedicated to this technique, which you can find in the description. Just don't do any of these. These are just really bad. That leads me to my next tip. Play with all the options and see what you can come up with. Don't just go for putting the sliders all the way up. I use Photomatics, and I know for each one of my photos I slightly edit all the options, look at different contrasts. Just play with all the available options and you'll probably come out with a really good photo. This has been Andy, and I hope you enjoyed my tips. You can check out more of my photos and more of my tutorials on ihitthebutton.com. Cheers.